This segment is dedicated to my ongoing car issues. It is mostly a review of the Chapman dealership in Horsham, Pennsylvania, with an honorable mention shout-out to the Reedman Auto Service of Jenkinstown, Pennsylvania along the way. I had previously offered my most recent review of Chapman posted here on my channel months ago. A link to that clip is in the description below. By the way, about that earlier clip, it hardly got any YouTube views, but that was in the beginning, around the time it was first uploaded. Since then, its views have exceeded my expectation, which is appreciated, because when it comes to reviews of products and services, I think the public wants to know what the customer experiences are, particularly in this day and age. The guy who was my assistant service manager at Chapman stressed that to me directly. He was referring to Chapman's own customer feedback process, which I have every intention of doing. It's just that I wanted to do this clip first, so that where available, I could link this clip to it. Because here, I'm not limited to a simple fill-out form. I can sit in front of my camera and tell the entire story. And when it comes to my car saga, since early this year, have I got a story to tell. So this clip will run somewhat longer, because I try to be as honest as I can when it comes to reviews. My channel is small now, but who knows down the road which people might come across it, and it might influence their decision. Some YouTubers use their platform to rant and vent their frustrations about whichever topics they are presenting. I'm not like that. I try to be more measured in my approach. But by the same token, I've got to be honest. Certain things I'll mention really strike a nerve. I'm recording this clip in the month of August. 6 months ago was the month of February. That was a half year ago. In that half year time frame, I've driven my car about 500 miles. That's how short a time I've had it to drive. Most people can burn up 500 miles in a week. It has taken me 6 months to do likewise. Picking up where my last clip left off, I took my car to Chapman in February for service. Among other things, the check engine light had come on, and I was hearing that dinging sound accompanying it, which I assume is a secondary audio indicator to the vehicle to notify the driver, hey, your check engine light is on, and oh, by the way, in case you don't see it, I'm dinging a sound as well, just so you'll know, which I appreciate cars doing. Because the check engine light is not the same as a low fuel indicator or even a tire pressure light, it is something more serious, so serious to me that if I see it, I'm taking it to get it checked out as soon as I can. I already had the appointment scheduled for other things the day before the check engine light came on. As I stated in my previous clip, I was told by the Chapman rep that I needed to have this done. I needed to have that done. And all total, to have all the work they recommended came up to $6,000, which threw me for a loop. I said, then tell me how much to get whatever is causing the check engine and rough idle taken care of. A short time later, I was picking up my vehicle having paid $2,500. They had done what they promised, because when I drove away from the dealership service center, there was no check engine light, no accompanying audio dinging. At least I'd be able to enjoy having my car back for a month or whichever time I did before returning it for the additional work. A week after getting my car back from Chapman Service Center, I was driving to the store when all of a sudden the check engine light came back on with the accompanying dinging. Needless to say, I was not happy about that. After all, I had just gotten it back and paid more than a few dollars specifically to not have that problem. A short time later, I'm back at the dealership telling them Whatever it was they said they were going to do, I still got the same problem. Days later, they got back to me. They said the issue was caused by a rodent chew, which I interpreted as them telling me a rat got up into the engine and chewed up a wire. For $500, they'd fix it and I can come back and pick it up, which I agreed to do. Chapman Service Center utilizes the Lyft Rider service. Their service center is located in Horsham, Pennsylvania. I live in North Philadelphia. One thing I'll give them credit for is, as far away as Horsham is from North Philadelphia, I'm glad about that service, because it makes getting there and back less of a hassle. I should also mention that Chapman is a professional automobile service center, which means their company is set up like most other dealerships are. They have a service management area, which is where the people who interact with these service customers are located. They have an entirely separate area where the mechanics who raise up your car on the lift are located. And they have everywhere else where other people work and do what they do. Chapman told me a rat got up in the engine area and chewed up a wire. It's not their fault. It's not that they did not do what they were supposed to have done. So I have to pay $500 for them to fix it, which I did not dispute or object to. Reason being, where I've been living in North Philadelphia, I've been seeing rats more and more. They are bigger, and they don't only come out at night. I've been seeing more roadkill rats than ever before. So when they said what they said, that the problem was a rodent chew, I did not have a problem with that. My problem lay elsewhere. After I agreed to the fix and it was completed, I received a text from a Chapman guy who wrote to say my car was ready to be picked up. He asked if I needed a ride. The truth was, I did want a ride to be provided. Only thing was, that was during the week. I could not come that day to get it. I had to wait until the weekend. So rather than reply to his text offering to arrange a ride, I ignored it until the weekend. Then I replied to say, I'm ready to be picked up. It just so happens that was the same day Henry's family was gathering at a restaurant to celebrate either his retirement or birthday, I forget which. The only thing I knew was that Henry wanted me there with him at the restaurant that evening, and he let me know it. Saturday morning was when I text back the Chapman guy to say I'm ready to be picked up. Usually that would be followed by a text from the Lyft Rider service to say when the driver would be arriving. I never got that driver notification. I never got a reply back from the Chapman guy either. At noon I decided to call the Chapman Service Center directly. I needed to pick up my car because I knew Henry wanted me at his party. But funny thing is, I received the usual automated voice indicator. Press 2 for Jeep, and press it again for the service center. Whenever it came to that point, instead of the phone ringing and someone picking it up, an automated voice came on to say, the party you are trying to reach is unavailable. Goodbye. And the call would end. I called several times in a row and the results were exactly the same. So I could not reach the service center by phone. I just couldn't. Meanwhile, it's getting after 12 o'clock noon. I knew Henry wanted me at his party. I'm trying to think, what else could I try? I go onto the Chapman website. I'm surprised to find they have a chat available. Someone comes on to respond to me. I explained what happened when I tried to phone the service center directly and could not get through, and that the bottom line was that I needed a ride from my home to get there to pick up my car. The online chat respondent said, okay. That was all he said, was okay. He did not ask my address or anything else. Then the website froze and I could not get anything else response-wise. So I figured I'd let Henry know I'm not going to be able to make it to his party. He won't be happy about it. but I've tried everything I can think of. Sure enough, within an hour, Henry was calling me with the restaurant location information and the time the family was gathering, which is when I told him I would not be able to make it and explained why not. Henry's response was direct. He said, "Rickey, you need to arrange your own Uber ride." Basically, he was saying, if I cannot depend on Chapman for something that is part of their service, then I should take care of it myself. I thought about it, but then decided to avoid his suggestion if I could. I decided to give Chapman Service Center another call by phone, and lo and behold, someone actually picked up. I actually got through. I took a moment to explain all the issues I had had previously that same day. About the guy who did not respond to my text message, he said, "Well, you probably reached him on his day off. As far as my not being able to get through to the service center by phone earlier," he said, "well, you can reach us now." Everything I said, he had an answer for, in a way that nothing was Chapman's fault. He was able to schedule my ride. I arrived there that day just before they closed. Matter of fact, no sooner than I walked in and up to the vehicle release window, the lady behind the glass looked at me and said, "Please tell me your name is Rickey Brooks." I said, "I am." I got my car and made it to Henry's party. 1 week later, I came out of my house to find I had a flat tire, which was a minor inconvenience due to my membership with AAA. They showed up, changed out the tire, and put the one that became flat in the storage area behind the back seat. 1 week after that, no sooner than getting my car and starting it up did the check engine light come back on with the accompanying audio dinging. So after that short period of time, the problem was back again. I was not quite sure where I would be taking it. I only knew where I was not taking it. And that was back to Chapman. It was not because of their mechanics. It was not because of their service management. But the experience I encountered in trying to get up there to get my car the last time, that was a game changer for me, due to the way it spilled over into other areas of the way they do business. "Oh, well, he did not respond to your text because it probably was his day off. And you are able to get through to us by phone now, aren't you?" Basically saying Chapman had not done anything wrong. Well, if that's your response, then maybe I need to take my car somewhere else next time, which was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that check engine light come back on. I don't care whatever it was they did or did not do last time. I'd rather start fresh at a different service center. I called the dealership, which was located going towards the airport. They said they did not work on cars of my make and model, which are over 10 years old. My car is 12 years old, so I had to go elsewhere. That was when I contacted Reedman Service Center in Jenkinstown, who agreed to give me an appointment. I was glad they did, because I did not see any other service centers in the Philadelphia area besides those three. The one near the airport, Reedman in Jenkinstown, and Chapman in Horsham. This was around the same time in which I was traveling, so I had to wait before taking my car into Reedman, so that I would be local by the time they looked at it and provided a determination. I figured it was best to let Reedman know of the service I had done at Chapman previously, what they were. Reedman said if I could provide whatever documentation I had for Chapman, it would be good, which I did. I also told them about the flat tire, which the original needed to be fixed and put back on. They let me know up front it would be a $100 fee just to hook it up to the diagnostic machine, which I was okay with. They had my car less than a week before they were contacting me to say a Rodent Chew had been found again. And check this out. Rather than fixing it, they suggested I take it back to Chapman for them to do it. Can you believe that? I was like, oh my God. You want me to go back into the mouth of the lion? When I swore up and down I was done with them. But what else could I do? Reedman was saying, we'd rather not have your business. What am I going to say to that? Am I going to beg them to take my business? I've got to bite the bullet and face the beast again. At least Reedman agreed to hold it for me until I can get an appointment with Chapman and come there to pick it up, so that I would be taking it directly from Reedman to Chapman. When I arrived at Reedman to get it, I was surprised to find there was a zero balance too. That meant they did not charge me to hook it up to the diagnostic. It also meant they did not fix the flat tire either. So I drove it from Reedman to Chapman. That was where I met Alfredo, who was the assistant service manager. I still had the number sticker hanging on my rearview mirror when I pulled into the Chapman Service Center. Soon as Alfredo saw the number sticker hanging in my car, it surprised him, because he recognized it was put there by another service center, and he vocalized it, saying, "You just left another service center? Now you're bringing your car here?" I said, "You got that right." I told him I was coming from Reedman, and handed him the receipt I had gotten at Reedman, where it clearly states, "Recommend returning to Chapman." Alfredo asked me, "Why didn't they just fix it?" I said, "Right." When he heard me answer him that way, he did not ask me any more questions, because he knew there was nothing further to be said. The next day after dropping my car off at Chapman, Alfredo called me. I'm thinking, this is early. I just dropped it off the day before, and already they have some news for me? But he said he was just giving me a courtesy call to say they might not get to my vehicle for determination that same day, due to a delay with a previous customer vehicle, and that they will get to it as soon as possible, which was fine with me. I thanked him for the call. Some days later he called me again. This time he had information to provide. The first thing he talked about was the flat tire, that there was a hole in the rim. The rim, as well as the tire, needed replacing. That alone was close to $1,000. He said the technician could not find any evidence of rodent chew anywhere. It might have been in a tiny wire which was not visible. He said they hooked it up to the diagnostic machine and then took it out for a drive, that there was no further check engine light on. The car drove fine, according to him. And then he talked about the other stuff I needed to have done. This, that, the other. All total over $3,500. He said, that's what I'm looking at price-wise. But even if I agreed to get everything done, he said, some of the parts would have to be ordered, and it could take as much as 2 weeks for them to come in. I said I was leaving town anyway. I'd be gone at least that long. Do what needs to be done, I said. But then he laid something else on me which was unexpected. He said the entire engine area was covered in rat poop. It was like they had gone in and made a nesting area of it. He said that will make the technicians' work all the more challenging, because as soon as the front hub is lifted and all that stink odor hits you, it's very unpleasant. He said he recommended I get the engine area detailed as soon as possible. Regardless to anything else, take care of that. I don't think he meant it as a negative reflection on me personally, but he did put a lot of drama in expressing that, in such a way as if to say, Mr. Brooks, when your front top is open and you get a whiff of that stank from all those rodent droppings, it's like you would not believe. But the thing is, this is the first I'm hearing about it. The first ever. I mean, it's not as if I intentionally neglected this matter. Had I known about it sooner, I would not have put it aside. I'm just saying, he emphasized that cleaning with a lot of earnest. About 10 days later was when Alfredo called me again. He asked how my travel had gone. I said fine. He said they were still awaiting parts to come in. He hoped that would be soon, and would call again for further updates when they were available. By the time they received the parts, did the repairs, and the car was ready to be picked up, they had had it for a month. which was not a reflection on Alfredo. He's just the service management guy. He cannot control other stuff. I knew my first order of business was to get the engine area clean. When I had taken my car there, it was because of my check engine light, with the accompanying dinging and the rough idle. According to what Alfredo was saying, there was no longer a check engine light issue. They even drove it around, and it was fine. The only thing he could say was, should it become an issue again, to bring it back again. It is important that I say that they did not fix the check engine light issue because there was none to see. Not saying it did not exist. It just was not existing for them to see it. So I went and got it. The day I was about to get my ride to get my car from Chapman, I did call one place who did detailing. I asked if they detailed engines. He said they did, but that all appointments were received on their website. I tried going online to make an appointment with them on their site, but what kept popping up in response was, that date is not available. No matter which date I put in, the next day, days later, a week later. So since it was time to go get the car from Chapman, there was no time to look further for a detailer. That would have to wait until after I got my car back. I went up and got it. It was parked right outside the service center. Alfredo came out to greet me just as I was about to get in my car and drive off. He mentioned about the customer feedback response, how important that was, and requested that I state his name. I assured him I would. I said I would look for it in an email. He said no. It will come to me in a text message. As he's telling me this, I hear my phone text message indicator, so I assumed that was what he meant. It was not until him mentioning to me that the customer survey would be received by a text message that I realized it would, because up until that point, I always thought it would come by way of an email message. Before bringing my car to Chapman this time and meeting Alfredo, I had already been there before earlier in the year. My service management person had always been the same. It was the lady whose desk is right next to Alfredo. Each time when my service was completed and I received my departing papers, there was always a cover page which I assumed was from her. It says, "You will receive a customer survey," which is a reflection on me as the customer representative. I never completed one of those surveys for her, because I always looked for it in my email. When it never came by email, I assumed they never sent me one. But when Alfredo said the notice comes by way of a text message, that meant I might have gotten one to complete for her, but did not realize it, because I would have filled it out. As far as my seemingly change over from her to Alfredo as the person who handled my car, I did not change over from her. It's just that when Reedman said to me, "Take your car back to Chapman," that was the last thing I wanted to hear at that time. I was so disgusted with having to return that when I entered the service management area, I did not care who waited on me. It just so happens that Alfredo was the one who said, "Next person in line." So maybe if I remember, I'll see what I can do about providing her the customer feedback I never did before. This clip is designed to tell the entire story, but it is different from how Chapman grades their employees. So, I leave Chapman with my car. The first thing I do is drive down the road to the gas station to get fuel. No problem with that. I go to my storage locker near the same area. No problem there either. I stop by Lowe's in the area, also food shop in the area. There is no problem at all. I'm starting to feel good. I've got my car back again after a long absence, and it's beginning to feel kind of good to once again be behind the wheel of my own vehicle. I decide to take the turnpike back home. It's backed up. The fastest I can drive on it is 40 miles per hour. I'm only on it for a few miles before transferring to the 309 Expressway, which is wide open. No traffic slowdowns. I pick up speed to go with the flow of traffic. As soon as I hit 60 miles per hour, the check engine light is back on blinking with the accompanying dinging. So I did not even make it all the way back home. I get home. The first thing I do is contact the engine detailing company. Fortunately, I was able to find one who I could go to the following day, which I did. It took all of 5 minutes and $20. The other thing I did when I got home that same day was to call up Alfredo to let him know, hey, the check engine light is back on. Even though I had had an appointment for the engine cleaning the following day, the earliest Chapman could get me back would be in another 10 days. What else could I do but agree to it? I took it back. They had it a few days. The determination was that it was a bad coil, one of the ones they had replaced earlier in the year, which was still under warranty. Once they replaced it, it was ready for me to pick up. I came back and got it. Since the coil was a warranty item, there was no charge for the service. As soon as I get this clip uploaded, I'll complete the customer feedback survey for Alfredo. I thought Alfredo did a good job as my service management person. I have no problem giving him a satisfactory review, as do I the lady before him. They are the service management people who deal directly with the customers. They have no control what happens with the other compartments of the company overall. How long it takes for parts to come in, what the mechanics do or don't do. I think Chapman's service management team consists of good people. But it still does not make me feel any better about that fiasco which took place on the day of Henry's party, when the only thing Chapman was telling me is, nothing is our fault, such that the next time I have a car issue which needs addressing, I'll travel across the bridge to New Jersey to find a service center there if I have to. That's how uninterested I still am at going back to Chapman.